Antiques on York in Rockville, Indiana, 100 West York Street, celebrating our 10th year in business.
I call the meeting to order at, it's about 5:36, somewhere like that. Members present, Sandy, Liddy, Tim, and myself, and Kevin is absent. He's in California. I think he'll be back this weekend. Also present is Chief McMichael and Sergeant Martin. I got a cameraman here. Okay, generally the first thing we do is just a review of the meetings. Okay, you're going to have to change your ringtone.
That's my dog.
Okay. Now you probably haven't seen the minutes because Kevin sent these out. This was from our meeting we had in November. Generally Kevin has been our secretary and he'll take the notes and takes the minutes.
And since he's absent, he'll be nominated again.
And he did tell me that
He would continue.
he would be interested in staying on the secretary, so
Absolutely.
he asked me to pass that on. But so the folks who did see the minutes, did you have any questions about the minutes that Kevin sent out from November?
I would make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion's approved. And just for your edification, you can read through those if you like.
Okay.
Generally, the meeting minutes are they're very, very general in nature. They're not really detailed because they're usually based on discussions we've had and what have you, and it's hard to capture all of that. So it's generally an overview of maybe old business, new business, things that we may have voted on, things we may have tabled till later, a lot of that. So, but
Okay.
I did print a copy to just bring to you,
Okay.
just in case you wanted to look it over. All right, our next order of business is just reorganization and nomination for officers. We generally do that every January.
Okay.
That way, if we want to make any changes in leadership or what have you, this is the time we do that. So we do have one person, Kevin, who is interested in staying on as secretary.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, so let me get that down here.
Would you like to continue as president?
I can.
All right. So
I
moved.
nominate.
Yeah.
Okay. And vice president, Sandy's been our vice president the last year. Anybody see any reason to change that, or you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, then I nominate Sandy.
I'll second.
Okay.
Just hope I live out the term.
We have every confidence. that
See,
you will.
I'm very good at that because as old as I am, you don't know.
None of us do.
No,
As long as
that's
we're not
true.
left with, the current VP, we're all right. I don't know if I almost did say that on camera, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Okay, some of that out of the way. The next course of business we would normally go into. Well, I won't say normally because we do different things at different times, but use of force case reviews. I don't know if you got the last volley of those or not on the use of force
They
cases.
probably
I believe I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just sent them in January
Okay.
Okay.
because they go all the way up till December 31st.
Okay.
I think the last one I read was the Our Lady officer was assisted by Ian up here on the square, Town Square Clinic. I believe it was. Yep.
So generally what we do, Bill will prepare the use of force case products that we need. Anytime the officers have to use any kind of force, it
Right.
could be hand bar or arm bars, could be handcuffs, could be chemical, could be whatever they have to use. They document it.
Right.
In the event that there are any questions, and oftentimes there are video support available. So what we have done, Bill will summarize those and send those to us. And as we review it, and if we think we want to see more or talk more about that, like we want to watch a video, Bill can have that prepared and we can do that. If not, Generally, we'll just vote on it here. If there's any questions, if there's not any questions, we can just say, hey, everything looked like it was up to speed and everybody's following policy. So,
I will say that if it's just a standard handcuffing, there's no use of
Right,
this report.
right, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the same as BOP was, so.
I think, Bill, the only couple things I seen on there, there was, one was Josh Milborn. Is he one of our
Reserves.
reserves?
No, he is no longer, he's with the Sheriff's Department, he's no longer on our department.
Now, when that occurred, was it because it said Deputy Milborn responded
No, he-
to everything in written in it was about Josh Milborn. Now, I assume we had assisted on that maybe in some regard, but
Let's see.
I don't know if that was one of
Main Street
Montezuma.
Marshal, that would have been an
Sheriff's
assist.
Department with the request.
Yeah, 100%, we would have gone there to,
okay, it just didn't say anything about any of our officers. It just talked about Josh.
Well,
and it said Deputy Josh
it says
Milborn did whatever have you.
so Assistant Chief Redmond was on that call, and the bottom part of the paragraph, it actually,
Oh, I guess I didn't see that.
He fell asleep before he got there.
That was during Bridge Festival, if I remember correctly. It was suicidal female.
Bridge Festival will do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to make light.
Suicidal female with a weapon, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
Did I jot down a note?
I think she gave it up real quick, if I remember correctly.
That doesn't seem like the one I'm talking about.
There might have been another one.
This is not the one I'm talking about. Because this started off right at the very top. That Deputy Josh Milborn responded to. I don't have any problem with that. I was just wondering who responded, who assisted on that, because it didn't list.
Yeah, that would have been, Deputy Milborn's call, and then that would have been Ian assisting that call. And that's the only one I think I see with his name on it. And this, because there's only like 4 reports.
Okay. I'll go back and look, and again, it wasn't, I was just curious what it all related to, since I didn't see a name that I recognized
Right.
other than Josh Milborn, so no worries. I did see one, there was also a gal that spit on Ian.
Jamie Kaiser.
I think when he was trying to get her in the car, she kept kicking the door and then got out of cuffs a couple times and things like that. And it threatened to spit on the officer. And then I guess that when she did get out, finally she did.
Yeah, that was a couple months ago. It's at Forest Motel.
Okay. I knew some of those, some of the case reviews were mental holds, no charges filed. So maybe they might have been emergency detentions, that kind of
There
thing.
were on that one.
Okay.
Around the holidays. Happens a lot.
And I know that particular one, she was charged with battery on an officer in that particular case,
Is
but
spitting considered battery?
Yes.
Yes.
Should be. That would make me madder than just about anything.
God, yes.
and then she was charged where it wasn't. It started off sounded like it was going to be another mental type case where she was mentally incapacitated to some degree. But then that incident happened, so I guess that.
Yeah, that case is still pending.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's the only questions I had about the use of force review. I don't know if did anybody else have any questions, and I know this first time you had a chance
I
to
printed
look.
off the wrong one, that's why I couldn't find what you were talking about.
Okay.
I've already started working on this year, so.
Yeah. I think I went through the last 2 batches you had sent, because both of them were like 3 pages, and maybe only 5 or 6, per time. But so they all seem to be pretty routine. But again, just for your edification, if you ever want to watch the video,
Okay.
you can, because he'll send those to us directly. So just contact him directly and say, hey, when we do meet, I'd like to see a video on that. And
Okay. No problem.
And those will be an executive session.
Okay.
yeah. Okay. If there are no questions, I
I
guess
will
we'll
make
make.
a motion that we approve the use of force cases.
Okay, I can second that. All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Now, I didn't have any, I got some just general questions here, Bill, and I'm probably gonna,
Okay.
as a matter of fact, I think I'll just turn it over to you, and if there's, because you and I talk off and on throughout the month, if there's something that you don't cover, and I may have a question also,
Okay.
I'll just jump in there, so you take over.
Well, first thing I've got on here is the evidence rooms, and this isn't like approved by the board as far as what we're gonna get or whatever. These are just a couple alternatives. I contacted Falcon Structure Container, and they would charge anywhere from 18 to 20,000 for a 20-foot container, and this is one with HVAC and a exhaust steel double door lock, deadbolt. It would have drywall inside. They would coat the floor so that you wouldn't have to worry about the moisture and whatnot so much. I asked them how long these generally last outside, because a lot of people will put these inside of buildings. They said if you take care of it, which you know, as far as the maintenance goes, like make sure you don't have a bunch of stuff like trees and stuff falling on
Right.
top of it. You check and look for rust, and if so, scrape that off and paint it. But if you take care of it, they say it should last 20-25 years. So
There might be space, you know, where they've got the workout room there now, maybe, which would actually be inside, but kind of in a garage.
and that's another avenue, and I haven't really approached that one yet, just because I don't know what we're getting,
Right.
and it's if we don't know how much space we're getting, it's going to be hard to get an estimate, just because we don't know where we're going or.
It's time to head in that direction, because it's gonna be here before we know it.
The other one was a little more pricey. They wanted anywhere from
90,000.
Yeah.
90,000 to 150.
Holy cow.
So it's quite pricier, and they told me that when I contacted them, that we may want to look at something else, because
Same type of structure?
very similar. I mean, it's kind of a metal Connex type thing too, and it's one of those with HVAC and lighting and all that
What's
kind
the
of stuff.
difference? Is this a government one?
The one, the RMAG, I think was the name of the other one, and I think they're a lot more into government agencies as far as, I think they're probably a little bit more beefier.
Yeah, the construction requirement's gonna be a lot, because they're also for like weapons and ammunition, so they're a little more heavily constructed, and the military does use them, because we use them even with the National Guard, we've used several of them, so.
So another option, at least temporary, I would hope it wouldn't be a permanent, would be just leave the evidence where it's at for now.
I'd hate to do that.
I think if it were to stay there, I'd like to see some upgrades, at least until we get moved to, or we get whatever it is that we're going to be
Yeah.
given. But those are just some alternatives until we get our evidence room. Obviously, right now, we'll probably just keep it in there until they make a decision on what they want to do. And that's really all I have on the evidence rooms right now. Is I got a couple prices, so I've got a general idea.
So again, some of the background for you, Tim, is we've looked at a couple different possibilities. There was some discussion about if the armory closes,
Right.
it may be an option, but all that is up in the area, and we don't have any control of that.
Yeah.
So as we look into the future, we're trying to see what other courses of action can we explore. It sounded like doing a modification to rooms or portions of the RMC building that we move into may be very costly as well, because there are strict requirements on, temperature, humidity control, ventilation,
Right.
and all that for evidence type storage. So we're just trying to see what our options are until we look up and it's upon us, and we have to do something.
I've followed the threads on that from
Okay.
everybody's comments, so.
Okay. So when we talked this last couple of weeks, we started looking at, what are some other options, and Bill's been digging into that, so. Hopefully, if we get to a point, then he could present to the town board maybe 2 or 3 courses of action that we can, that they can explore, because anything to do with the money, and again, if you're not up to speed on that, it's the town board. We have nothing to do with that. We're strictly focused on the department, but not the dollars and cents bill, and the town board manages that, so. But that don't mean we don't have
Recommendation.
recommendations.
Right.
But that's kind of what that was about, so thank you, Bill.
The next thing I have is training. Me and Ian went to breathalyzer school recently. Ian is currently at firearms instructor school. Cameron goes next week for public information officer boot camp.
Where's that one?
Greenwood.
Is that only for police or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then me and Officer Walters will go to A-Ride on the 12th and 13th, and that's the advanced roadside
Impaired driving.
impaired, yeah.
Busy.
When you get your access to Lexipol, one of the updated policies was about training and all like the required classes that they have to have, and then just the different stuff. So because there's some things they have to do on a particular either annual, biannual, triannual basis.
Yep.
Just like again you're probably familiar with in your past experience. So, but there's a pretty good breakdown in there of that. And if new courses become available, and we have officers who have a need, they can do that. A lot of these guys can get instructor certified in a lot of different things.
And then their salary, our salary matrix is kind of tied. If you have,
Yep.
you can get bumps for certifications.
So, always an ongoing challenge when you have a 6-man, full-time man department.
Yes.
To weave in people away to training, you can still have the coverage you need. But I know this last year, especially, they've done a great job of managing that. Having 2 brand new officers who were at the academy for what, 3 months, 4 months apiece.
So half the year, the one or the other was at the academy for half the year. So
And the good news is I survived. I didn't think I would survive to see us have 6 working deputies, but I have.
Yeah. So they're doing great things, and I for one can't be happier with how things are going the last year or so, and a lot of good dialogue going on between the PD and the board, and also the PD and the town board. I think a lot of good things have happened. So.
And they got their bicentennial badges.
yes.
Well, I'm trying to control between me and the laundromat. I'm just letting you know, to try to take some of the heat off.
Please.
Just-
Monitoring that alley behind the laundry.
Are you running a laundromat?
no, ma'am. I just live 2 doors down
Too
from a training
close.
camp. Yeah, it's all good.
Along with training, they have changed the defensive tactics instructor training. It used to just be one certification. Now it's 2 certifications, and I was told I didn't need to go to instructor defensive tactics research previously, and now they're saying that if you haven't been recertified, that you have to retake it. So I've got to retake that, and then I've got to get a new certification so that I can continue to teach the town. And we usually invite a lot of the town marshals and stuff there too. So I'll have 2 classes I'll have to go to, and I've reached out. I'm waiting on. I've signed up at the academy. I've signed up at PTS, which is by Dr. Weitzel. That's when I first went through the academy. That's actually pretty much the guy that was the defensive tactics for the entire state. So trying to get one of those 2 so I can get my schooling and get back to teaching.
Well, another good thing the getting instructor qualified allows us to do is train a lot of our own people, including our pre-basic folks. And instead of having to send them away, maybe pay for other
A
training,
lot
we
of
can
money
actually
saving.
do a lot of that in-house, and even having other agencies come here.
And the EVOC, we can do that too now.
Yeah, I think Ian has
Mm-hmm.
been working for eons. Ian just did one, about 2 months ago?
I went with
Something like that.
I rode with them too.
Did
It's
you?
impressive.
Yeah.
We did originally, this was back before some of you guys were born. We did EVOC at Rivernet Park in the parking lot down there.
He did the
Yes,
you
backing
did.
up one. Oh my
yeah.
gosh!
That's
Didn't
when
hit a
we did our
single cone.
certification.
And I was there.
Yes.
I would have hit every single cone there was. I have certainty on that.
Right.
That would have been in 1986.
It wasn't warm One close.
Oh, shoot.
He
We-
might have been a glimmer.
Don't be laughing at that. That is a badge of honor.
We presented awards to Josh Milborn for his. He's the FOP president, and he went over when we had that shooting over there on 60. Well, over there by the pizza
Dana.
place, Dana. He went over there and made sure everybody had legal counsel through the FOP and mended everybody's needs. And Ian recommended him for the award, and you guys approved that one. And we met with him. We were dedicating the street signs
I
up
still
there.
haven't looked at those.
And while we were doing that, we had Josh there, so we just went ahead and pulled him aside and said, "Hey, by the way, we want to present you with this award."
Has that been in the paper yet?
It wasn't in the paper; it was on Facebook. Though.
I seen it on
Saw it
Facebook.
And then Michelle Fauner, we were talking to her during one of the, I think it was one of the yard sales on the square, and we were talking to her about all the stuff that we were trying to look for funding to do, and she kind of took it upon herself to reach out to a bunch of people, and she encouraged people to donate, and we had a lot of different people from a lot of different organizations donate, and made it to where we got those
Awful.
transport cells
Awful.
completely paid for.
Have you seen those yet?
Yeah. I haven't seen them in these vehicles, but yeah.
They're a lifesaver.
Yeah.
We had Hannah. She had transported one of our inmates that she arrested, and he didn't destroy it, but he just beat the tar out of it.
Yeah.
And,
Saves a cruiser.
She'd been driving down the road, and he'd been doing that.
Yeah.
That probably would have been a wreck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Nuisance properties. I sent you guys out a memo on that.
If you did you get that?
No,
Oh,
I didn't.
okay.
I don't think so.
I've got that. I was looking at that again today, but I can send you a copy of that.
Okay.
We have multiple ones pending. Some of those are dog tickets. One's a water pit ticket. We've got one that they can't get the power turned back on because they removed all the HVAC and just all kinds of different things where wires are just kind of freely hanging. I mean, they're capped off, but you don't want to turn the power on with wires hanging.
Yeah.
You want them wired to something so kids can't come up there and take the cap off and get electrocuted. We have a few of them that they've just outright refused to fix. Some of them are now that they realize they're going to court, they're starting to fix those now that we have the winter time. I have not marked any up this year just due to weather. I will, as the weather clears, start writing people up. I'm not going to wait for May, but I'll start writing people up as soon as the weather clears. I really don't want to try and take pictures of properties in the fog and the snow. And
Yeah.
It's like
sure.
0 temps.
we have multiple ones with judgments. We have about 10 of them that I've asked Nick about that they're just unknown. I don't know. We wrote the ticket. Don't know why it didn't get filed. It should automatically get filed when we go through our e-ticket, but for whatever reason it didn't. So I'm still working with Nick to figure out what to do on those. If nothing else, I'll just go ahead and write them again this year, maybe to go through.
Is the one still in litigation? Corner house?
On Jefferson? No, he just sent out a letter saying he was dismissing that.
Okay.
We have multiple ones dismissed. A lot of people actually fixed their deficiencies. I mean, you've got these bottom two, this page and this page that were dismissed. So,
Wow.
multiple ones. Some of those, it looks like a lot of people have completely done everything they were supposed to, but some of these were dismissed just because of the weather. You're not going to paint in the wintertime, and we kind of felt like it was pointless to keep going back to court and telling the judge they haven't painted the house yet when everybody knows you're not going to paint it in the winter months. So
Just make some antifreeze with it.
I talked to him. I said, look, I'm dismissing you for the winter. We're not going to keep going to court over this. I will be back. I will inspect your property again, and you will get another ticket. And this time, you know, it's probably going to be for a penalty, not for you got 30 days to fix it. If you're not, you know, if I see improvement, I'll usually work with them. But if I don't see any improvement, there's no point in working with them.
Now, these violations, do you primarily handle these?
Primarily me, sometimes Ian.
Okay.
When we did it the first go around, me and Ian did it together, so I could kind of show him what we were doing, and we probably did 50 or so that time, and then we did another 50 or so the next time. So I mean, we were very busy doing in May and September doing ordinance violations.
And it's usually the biggest obstacle is when it gets into the court side of it, because we, you know, they don't have any control of what's being, you know, processed, what isn't sometimes, and so that's why oftentimes they have to revisit and do a lot of that. So that's generally the holdup. I think Bill and Andy have done a good job of, you know, patrolling the town and looking for those types of things when they. I mean, some of them are just obvious.
Yeah.
And approaching those property owners, and I think their first course of action is always, you know, give the property owner the opportunity to take care of what needs taken care of without writing citations or any of that, and then just like anything else, if it escalates, it escalates. But that's never the goal, obviously, going in. So
Wolfcom Commander 2.0 is up and running. That's our new body cameras. Those make it to where we can actually go online. If I'm at home and Cameron's downloaded his video and he asks me a question about something, I can actually go watch his video while I'm talking to him and give him, you know, I just watched that. This is what you need to do, or you know, not just Cameron. I just said that because he's here, but
It's picking on me.
But that's one of those nice things. They might call Cameron and say, "Hey, I don't know what to do here," and he can watch it from his house if he wants. So we can log in, watch it from anywhere. Didn't even have, we could be in Indianapolis, staying in a hotel overnight, and they could call us, and we could still answer it and handle it. Fortunately, we'd probably have another officer answer that if we were doing that, but the option's there.
yeah. Did we get spare cameras?
We got 2 spare cameras. These cameras come with they're 15-hour batteries, and they come with a spare battery.
Oh, great.
So you can just unlock it, pop the lid off, put the new battery, take the battery out, put the new battery in, and go right back to recording.
Yeah,
Are they
years past,
rechargeable, or?
when the battery was out, it was out. We didn't have, they didn't have the capability to replace batteries. We didn't have enough spares to just, so that was a challenge. I'm glad to hear that they got that capability.
Which, did you tell me, what's the difference in the ones that alert if somebody's down for like 30 seconds? Was it 12,000?
I don't remember the exact quote. I know it was considerably more to get all the extra. You can get the extras with this camera, but it's considerably more.
I'd just like to see them have it someday if we ever become super.
I'm glad they got them.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
Our new firearms have been shipped according to Stephen R. Jenkins. I haven't seen them yet, but they say they've been shipped. We have ordered and we've already received our rifle optics. So we're getting optics for every rifle. We ordered a pepper ball gun. We haven't got it yet, and then we also ordered vest carriers so that most all of the officers will have the exact same carrier. Now, we have a couple officers that I've not bought carriers for because they work 3 or 4 times a year. I didn't feel like it justified, you know, these are over $200 a piece, and if you're only going to work 3 days a year, I think that the public can deal with, he's got a dark blue vest instead of a black. If you're working every day, obviously you should probably be wearing the black one, but if you're just working once in a while, a lot of our part-timers are not working very often, so those are the ones that I'm not buying new carriers for because they're not working much. And that kind of brings me up to my next thing, and that is officers and what they've worked. And this isn't full-time officers, this is reserves and part-time officers. And when I say these hours, these are not hours where we're paying them for training. This is hours where they've worked the road. First off, we have Dan Jones, and I'm going in badge order. So it's Dan Jones. He's worked 0 hours this last year. I think when he first got on, he mainly just wanted to be SRO. We no longer do SRO. I talked to Dan. Told him, eventually I've got to justify why I've got you on the department if you're not working the road and we don't have SRO. He said he would like to stay on, but he understood if he, couldn't, and he just asked that if he couldn't, that he be offered the opportunity to just resign instead of be forced out.
And I believe he did a great job at the SRO position, working at the schools, and that's kind of what he was specializing in this role. So not on the patrol side, but on the SRO side. So I think he did a good job in that capacity for sure.
Kind of feels like he's done the road enough.
I think that's basically kind of what I got was that.
Did it for a long time.
Yeah. So I don't know where the board stands, but
I'm certainly fine with letting him make that decision and resign if he wants to.
Yeah, I know my advice has always been to you. I mean, you run your people. If somebody hasn't completed the required training, if they're not working, you know best on what your needs are. And but we'll bring it here to the board and we can discuss it. But my thought process is you manage your people, okay? And if we see something that just seems grossly out of line, then of course we'll speak up. But I think it's important that we don't have too many chiefs,
right.
Running things, and you've done a great job there. So I would support whatever decision you want to make there as well.
I as well.
Okay. Chris Fisher also worked 0 hours last year, although he did do our firearms qualifications for us. And he advised me that he thought that I did not want to use any part-time funds, and that's why he never volunteered, but did take a shift already for this year.
And he was also transitioning. He was on the department before and transitioned to the sheriff's department, so I'm sure that might have drove part of that as well. But I was glad to hear that he was interested in getting some hours this year, though.
Lutz has worked 30 hours. And when I say that's how many hours they've worked, this isn't like they just come out and work once a week. I send them hey, can you work?
Right.
And if they're available, they'll take it. I think he just took a 12-hour shift for Brady so that he can go to A-Ride. So he's working on the 11th, so he's definitely one that's wanting to work.
Good.
Good.
And Clover, he worked 16 hours last year. He is currently away at training and probably won't get back till sometime after April. He's waiting on clarification to see if he can continue to do this or not.
And didn't he go to work for the VA?
No, he went to work for DHS.
DHS, okay.
So,
I knew he had taken a federal position somewhere. I wasn't sure what, so.
So I was kind of waiting on him to find out, was he going to be able to stay on or not? And if not, obviously you have to let him go. But if not, he can continue to work. We have a special assignment officer, and he's worked 1.5 hours, and he's only called out when we need him. And he come out with no problems when we did need him. So.
Undercover guy.
We've been talking to him about working this year too.
So he doesn't work a lot, but that's by design. Kyle Kinley is now starting in the reserves. He worked 59 hours last year. He was, I think, on suspension for the first 2 months due to not having his training hours in. He does have his training hours in this year.
Good call.
And so there is that, and he's already worked this year, worked a shift this year too. So then we have Officer Long. She's worked 98 hours. We have Officer Nichols, and he's worked 228.5 hours.
I believe it. He's always around.
We've had Officer Froschauer. He's worked 335 hours.
And he loves to make stops.
We have Officer Clark, and he started toward the end of the year, so his hours are considerably lower because he has worked. But anytime I call and say, "Hey, can you work?" If he's available, he's volunteering to come out and work. But he worked 32.25 hours. I had Chase Blaine on here, but there's really not much reason to go over him because he's resigned.
Okay.
And then we have Dennis Krakenberger, and he has worked 689.5 hours. So, if you've seen where I put all the hours that the reserves and part-time officers worked, the majority of that was Dennis.
Does he do anything else, or is he?
He's retired.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he's definitely been extremely helpful, and
Was
the
he in law
scheduling.
enforcement?
He was a correctional officer.
Okay.
Was he lieutenant or?
He was a lieutenant at Wabash Valley Correctional Facility.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
I don't know if I skipped over this. I did order a pepper ball gun. I don't remember if I told you that.
Yep.
Yes.
I think that's really all I had was
Hopefully Amazon doesn't deliver all those packages.
no.
Also, every month, Tim, Officer Martin or Sergeant Martin prepares a very detailed activity report for the department each month. I know this last one, was it the last one or the one before? There was some computer glitch or something you couldn't
This
do.
last one, which I have sent you all an updated event monitoring spreadsheet to reflect last month. So 2023 is closed out, and I've already started working on January. So that is in your email, so you have it available to you when you're done with the meeting.
Oh,
Okay.
I got the last one he sent and
Okay.
his explanation in there that
Yeah.
some parts were.
That's pretty helpful to see what guys are up to, and a lot of detail
You can read it.
and a lot of time on his own
Yeah.
to
It's my
prepare
wife's
that.
birthday.
So,
People have no idea.
All right, so here's a copy of that if somebody wants it.
tomorrow's Friday. You can celebrate that. It's more fun than Thursday anyway.
thank you, Sergeant.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thanks, Kevin.
See you guys. Have a good night.
Happy anniversary.
No birthday.
Occasionally, we'll have if you have any questions about
Birthday.
activity, he'll come in and we can review it with him,
Okay.
or
You just better be
reach out to the
sweet.
chief directly.
Okay,
We try not to. I won't say we try not to talk to the officers directly,
sure.
but we do try to
Chain
use
of
the chain of
command.
command if we can. And
Yep, amen.
but Bill is fine with us if we want to talk to an officer, not all off limits, but we
Yeah.
just anything questionable, we do try to use the chain of command, just like you would at the
Absolutely.
federal side, and
Yep.
keep our ducks in a row there.
Except
So
for those of us who are non-chain of command people who
Yes.
always forget that.
One thing I will say about this report, I think Cameron emailed it to you already. I know one thing has always been a big thing is how often do we go out of town? And if you look at the calls we've had this year, we had 6,015 calls, and like Cameron explained, that 6,000 is probably actually more than that because we had a couple months where the CAD wasn't really working like it was supposed to, and the CAD also deleted calls. So it's not 100% accurate, but when I look at those and then I look at we assisted outside of town calls, 394, that's just under 7% of our calls are out of town. So it's not a large majority. I mean, it's 7% of the time we go out to assist. I know you read our use of force reports and you probably think we're always out of town, but
no,
it's
I mean, I think it's been a bone of contention in the past with some folks, the out of town stuff versus the in town, and the town board had a good meeting with us probably 2 years ago, and they were
They were surprised at how little it
few
was.
we had in actuality. And again, we've always encouraged these guys, if you have a domestic going on or there's a shooting or officer needs assistance, we're going to respond.
Absolutely.
And we hope that they reciprocate and do the same. So, but it's good that they're looking at those kind of numbers just so we can see. And it always crosses my mind when I do read a use of force case review, what we're doing, but you can almost tell just by reading why we're there. And, these officers need to support. I remember a story one time, somebody told me, officers going through the academy, and a couple of the officers were talking, and one was from a city and one was from a rural area. And of course, the rural guy's like, I can't believe the volume of calls you guys get and all of that. And the city guy was like, I can't believe the volume of call you guys get and you're by yourself.
There you go.
You know, it just really showing a light on, you know, they got tons of assistance in the city where these guys are often on an island. So,
If you're assisting Parke County, I mean, are you guys operating off of a memorandum of understanding, or is it just a pact?
So I have actually sent it's not a signed memorandum. It is I've sent Jason an email and said, hey, these are the calls that we're going to respond to without you even calling and asking, just because we know
Right.
these are things we know you need help with. We don't need you to ask us.
Yeah.
And, we haven't actually got an official signed document, but we have.
But there's something there, yeah.
It's an unwritten.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they all have police powers all over the
Yep.
state. So I mean,
Right.
they're covered as far as their training and certifications
Yeah.
cover them in that regard. So it's just good business to support one another.
Yep.
So again, in case you didn't know, I'm going to say that a lot this first meeting, then you're on your own. No, just kidding.
Know where you live.
We do do a little bit of a patrolling outside the city limits. Maybe we go to the Rockville Lake Park.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, a few
Yep,
things like
see
that because they're close to town and
Fairgrounds.
You know,
They're close to me.
the
To
fairgrounds
prevent
and
things before they get to town.
make
Right.
6 passes a night by Sandy's house.
Yeah.
Probably more than that.
Probably more than that.
Sometimes they do welfare checks on me.
Yeah. It happens.
But again, part of that idea is if we can do a stop outside the city limits, maybe prevent something from getting into town.
Sure.
Same thing with the park. If there's an element out the park that's stirring things up and they don't come into town. Plus, again, the county is, they have a few more people than us. They're covering a lot of ground as well.
Right.
So again, it's good business to assist one another.
I will tell you, since we started patrolling the lake, because we weren't doing that for a while, we haven't had near
Good.
the negative cases out there.
Good.
We had some violent calls out there, and we had some inappropriate calls out there, and I think after we started patrolling, I can't really remember too many calls where we actually went out there for anything. That presence is.
Yeah. The last time my wife and I went out there fishing, we realized there's a different clientele out there
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Completely different. So we don't go out there anymore either.
Yeah.
Because I can see myself getting involved in, you're acting that way in front of my wife. How dare you? So,
Right.
yeah. So I'll just stay home and eat Mrs. Paul's fish.
When you are killing yourself.
Bill, I did want to ask you, did Ian get approved for the
Task
ICAC?
force.
crimes against child
Yes.
and all that? I know you were working on a memorandum of agreement for that as well, for the town board to sign, not for us. But,
Yes.
So that got all taken care of? And
He's already on. He's already
Good.
doing training with them, and I think he's already got his first case.
So what kind of time does that require? Does he sort of work on it on his own, or?
So, like, he's got to watch training videos, and that might be 2 or 3 hours, I think, a month. Which, if you're sitting around waiting for somebody to speed or something.
Right, which that's kind of one of his specialties anyway,
Yes.
right, if you call it that.
Yes.
was that a state task force?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he, the last one he had, I think it took maybe, I don't know, half hour. I mean, it wasn't,
Big time.
yeah.
Okay.
Some of them are really involved, and some of them aren't. Yeah, okay. There's a picture's not showing anything.
So do they meet periodically, regularly, or?
I think they probably do meet. He hadn't yet.
Okay.
I think there is if I remember correctly, there is a thing where he's got to go once a month or once every 3 months or something, and meet. But he has not done that yet. But I don't expect this is going to be one of those where it's going to take a tremendous amount of time. For the most part, he's my guy that covers night shifts, and I cover the day shifts. So if somebody calls in sick, or we can't get coverage from part-time or reserve, because the part-time do work, but if sometimes they have their own jobs, they're not available.
It's always a challenge. We're always encouraging them to find more part-time and reserve folks that are, interested and have the energy to take this on. Because
When are
it
you
takes
retiring? You can become,
I did it for 12 years on the sheriff's department, but
Yeah, you did.
no, it's not for me anymore. It's a young man's game, and if somebody doesn't like that, I'm going to tell them it's a young man's game.
Unless you're Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I'm not Clint
You know.
Eastwood. I'm definitely not Clint Eastwood. Maybe Clint Jones, maybe.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
No, it takes a special personality to do that job and to do it well, and
Yes.
you know, they can never get enough pay and never enough recognition.
And I can't
For what
carry a
they do,
gun
so.
and ride shoot people.
Letty
I'm not
wants to,
even gonna
Letty
call
wants,
Letty.
Letty wants to be a
They'd
canine and
probably
take her
be
dog.
safe because you missed.
Not if they give me a flamethrower.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Bill?
I really don't.
Okay. Sometimes these meetings can go on and on. Just depends on what the topic is. Have you had a chance to read any code that says what we do as a police commission?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'll get you that
Yep.
information, and
Yep.
it's pretty specific. You know, our charter really is to
Hiring, firing, for the
hiring,
most
firing,
part.
and when it comes to policy review, you know, we can make recommendations, you know,
Right.
through the chief. So oftentimes we do. Again, if we read a policy and we see something's, you know, I won't even say questionable, just we have questions, or maybe some recommendations. Again, that's when we work with the chief, but.
And usually they explain why
Yeah.
they do it that way, and then we're like, oh, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
we do get the lexical accounts, so we can see what's coming out and what the new policies are and the new training requirements are, you know, and Bill has done a good job, and Randy before him did a good job of keeping us posted on those requirements. So, but our basic charge is hiring and firing, and well, I think we run a lot of interference with the town board sometimes. Not that it's a bad thing, just so we can help that dialogue.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts sometimes, and
Yeah.
and we may have ideas that we can push to Bill about things like these portable arms room storage buildings or evidence rooms, or maybe just some ideas from your past experience that you can share. I know Sandy's been very involved in fundraising through different organizations that's been very helpful to the department. So everybody brings, you know, expertise to the table,
Okay.
and your experience will as well, and you know, we're encouraged by that. Kevin's always very involved as well. I
Okay.
mean, he rarely misses a meeting. So don't be shy. Speak up when you got something on your mind, and
Okay.
we'll work it out.
I will say eventually, and it's not anytime soon because we've got to get through all of our training, but after we get through some of this training, we do want to hold some interviews and possibly hire a couple more reserves. Kind of waiting to see what Sean's doing, and we find out what Sean's doing, have a couple interviews, bring some people in, and
Will he
see.
eventually be working in Indianapolis? Is that where he'll be?
Probably Indianapolis, and maybe, I don't know if he's going to work building, if he's going to be assigned to a building, or if he's actually going to travel with, like, they have like protection details, and they also have
Oh.
like building protection, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to set dates?
I think we can look at maybe a date in March, unless you know there's something coming up.
Fourth Thursday's probably going to be, because second Thursday are health board meetings, and third Thursdays are going to be park board meetings.
Okay. Well, what's the fourth Thursday in March look like then, Bill?
28th.
21st?
That's right before Easter. I don't see anything.
We don't have to do it that day. I'm
No,
just
I-
saying.
I-
we
Just
do
bring
the-
deviled eggs.
Maudie Thursday.
I'm fine with that. I was just showing that's when it will be.
So what
March
is it?
21st?
Is it
28th.
28th?
Oh, the
28th.
4th, okay.
Is that good for everyone?
It's fine with me.
For now.
And also, Tim, if something happens in between then, we may have a meeting at the spur of a moment.
Okay, that's
And
fine.
if there's an incident goes on or something we need to be, the circle the wagons on, we can meet sooner than that.
Are we going to keep it at 5:30?
I think if 5:30 works all right for me, I don't want to put anybody out, but it's just 5:30.
Keep
You
it
know.
here till we move.
If Missy wants to send you with a pot pie or something like that.
Yep, brownies.
Brownies,
yeah,
you know, I mean,
normally,
it's
that's
the
fine.
usual.
Yeah.
I mean, normally Liddy brings us stuff, it let us down tonight, but last meeting she wanted to have a big old cake, and
Yeah.
we wouldn't agree to the date she wanted, so she didn't.
We
So
don't want to forget the many banquets that
That's
I
right.
brought.
that's right. Me, I brought fudge one time.
You should have seen that cake. That cake weighed 12 pounds. I'm not kidding you. It was a peppermint cake.
You act depressed about it.
No, it was, it was just, it was very dense. It was delicious, but it was heavy.
Unless you have anything else, we can.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
I do.
All in favor?